Welcome back. More on our top story this evening. In the US, edging closer to a trade war with its biggest trading partners, Canada, Mexico and China, after President Trump announced tariffs on all three nations. Now, Canada and Mexico have retaliated with tariffs on the United States. China has said it's going to take the challenge through the World Trade Organization. Well, let's speak now to Ralph Goodale, the High Commissioner of Canada to the United Kingdom. Your Excellency, thanks very much for making the time to speak to us this evening. I really do appreciate it. And of course, I'm going to come on to talk about tariffs in a short while, but I first want to deal with that latest post by President Trump on his Truth Social site, where he talks about Canada becoming a cherished 51st state. Does Canada take that as a threat?
Well, it's certainly a bit of trolling by the U.S. president. Coming back to this point, quite frankly, it's offensive to Canadians. The United States is our very old friend, our very good friend, our neighbor in North America, an ally and a partner, in many cases, family. So we know each other very well, but we do not want to be each other. And accordingly, Canada is not for sale, and neither is our sovereignty, period.
Your Excellency, I'm going to bring up the post that he put on social media, and it's the last part of it that I want us to focus on, where he says, much lower taxes, far better protection for the people of Canada, and no tariffs.
Well,
enticing?
Yeah, no. It's a salesman's pitch. And it's one that we are just not interested in pursuing. In fact, the relationship that we have in North America is absolutely superb. We've got a border, an international boundary between us that's about 8,000 or 9,000 kilometers, 200 crossing points on that boundary. It is the longest, most successful, most profitable international boundary line, unmilitarized, in the whole world. Every day, 400,000 people go back and forth across that boundary line, going about their business and their affairs in both countries. And every day, at least $3 billion in goods and services go back and forth across that boundary line. Every single day. We've got a relationship right now that is absolutely superb. And instead of focusing on economic domination or infringements on sovereignty, we should be talking about how we can make that arrangement in North America even more successful than it already is. It's already one of the most prosperous relationships in the world, and we can make it better if we focus on the real substance of what we do with each other, rather than this irritation that actually makes Canadians recoil, makes us pretty angry. But we are calm, and we are focused, and we are fact-based, and we are absolutely resolute. I've never seen Canadians quite as united as they have appeared to be in the last 48 hours.
Well, look, High Commissioner, I can hear the anger and the frustration in your voice, but despite that, and despite that feeling, Trump has brought in these tariffs, 25% on all goods. Huge impact it will have on both economies. We've seen the retaliation. How much further could that retaliation go?
Well, as the Prime Minister has said right from the very beginning, everything is on the table. He is obviously consulting closely with all of our provincial and territorial governments, with chambers of commerce, with labor unions and mayors and municipalities from one end of Canada to the other, to make sure that we have a totally cohesive, united Team Canada approach to this. And he announced the beginning of it last evening. It will accumulate over the next month to about $155 billion worth of product from the United States. 30 billion of that will go into effect on day one, and the rest will be subject to refinement over the subsequent weeks. But obviously, we are determined to defend our ground, to defend our rights, to defend our sovereignty and our economy and Canadian jobs. In addition to the tariff reaction, we're going to be obviously focusing and very sensitive to critical Canadian assets like our fresh water and critical minerals, for example. We're going to be supporting those Canadians who are affected by the U.S. action to make sure that in their daily lives and their jobs and their businesses, they are properly backstopped by the authority and the resources of the government of Canada in collaboration with the provinces and territories. We're going to work to make our economy more efficient, more successful, more resilient, more productive. Eliminating as much as we can interprovincial trade barriers, for example, improving the regulatory system within Canada, innovation, investment in infrastructure, tax systems that promote investment in Canada. And as well, looking at trade diversification. Canada is one of the most open economies in the world. We trade with the whole world. Our biggest trading partner is the United States, but they're not the only one.
Okay.
And we can do business with a lot of other countries too, including the United Kingdom and the EU and the Indo-Pacific, where we have very effective trade agreements already in place.
So you can look elsewhere. One thing you didn't mention in that, Your Excellency, is the crude oil imports. I understand that the US imports 60% of its foreign crude oil from Canada. Is that a place where you think more pressure could be applied on the relationship?
Well, as the Prime Minister has said, everything is on the table, and we will approach this in a rational way that affects different regions and sectors and parts of Canada fairly and equitably, because this must be a totally cohesive Team Canada effort. We're considering all of the options to make sure that our response is strong and vigorous. And I would just say to our allies around the world, watch this closely. You could be next. And in the meantime, stand by your friends.
Now, Your Excellency, you mentioned the 400,000 people that cross back and forth across that border. You'll know that one of the reasons why Donald Trump has said he's imposing these tariffs is because of the illegal migration. It's reported that some 190,000 encounters were recorded last year. What's being done to try and shore up that border? Can more be done and will more be done?
The border is fundamentally safe and secure. It is, as I pointed out, one of the most open, successful, prosperous international boundary lines, unmilitarized in the entire world. We have invested about $1.5 billion over the last 4 or 5 years to improve border operations, make them more efficient, make them secure on one hand, but facilitating of trade and travel on the other hand. Just in the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've come forward with another $1.3 billion, especially focused on technology with drones and sensors and helicopters and other techniques to make sure that 8,000 or 9,000 kilometers is very well protected. We work in close collaboration with all of the American border services agencies. They are quite literally talking to each other virtually all the time, every day. Our systems are totally integrated with theirs to make sure that we're tracking both goods and people coming in and going out. And the statistics show that in terms of the specific complaint about fentanyl, that in terms of the illegal movement of fentanyl into the United States, that about 1% of that can be attributed to Canada. 99% of it is a result of entry into the United States from elsewhere, not Canada. We've already got a very strong system. We're prepared to work with the United States every single day to make.
Commissioner, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to get a couple more questions into you. You know, Trump telegraphed these tariffs. We knew they were coming as he was elected. In November, Justin Trudeau went to Mar-a-Lago, had a conversation that was described as productive. They looked forward to speaking again. And yet, now the tariffs have come into place. Do you think there's something personal in this decision by Trump to do this to Trudeau? You know he's not very popular at the moment and he's leaving office.
I don't know what the president's political motivation might be. Quite frankly, the Prime Minister has been absolutely focused on the substance of the issue to get the best possible arrangement on both sides of the border that works well for both of us. And from time to time, political relationships are are warmer or cooler, depending on the personalities that are involved. But the fundamental relationship that's established here goes back decades and generations. And that fundamental relationship is what we should ensure on both sides is not fractured and damaged. One of your lead stories this evening was about those tragic plane crashes in the United States, and our deep condolences to the American people for what they've had to endure with air tragedies in recent days. It's significant and important to note that the Canadian Transportation Safety Board is actively engaged in the work of assisting with the investigations, because that's what good neighbors do.
High Commissioner Ralph Goodale, Your Excellency, thanks so much for being with us this evening. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.